In the last class, we have done up to the classification of anti-asthmatic drugs. Now we will discuss the details of one class, that is bronchodilators. In bronchodilators, we will discuss two classes, beta-2 sympathomimetic drugs and methylxanthines. You have already read about beta-2 sympathomimetic drugs in autonomic nervous system. These drugs are, you can also say, adrenergic drugs. Beta-2 sympathomimetics are also known as beta-2 agonist. In this class, the examples like salbutamol, salmeterol and terbutaline etc. are used as anti-asthmatic drugs. Now we will discuss the mechanism of action of these drugs. When beta-2 sympathomimetic drug like salbutamol bind to beta-2 receptors, it causes beta-2 receptor stimulation and there is increased cAMP formation in the bronchial cell. It results in relaxation and finally bronchodilation. The adrenergic drugs are effective bronchodilators, but they should be safely used in hypertensive and ischemic heart disease patients. As you all know, the adverse effects of adrenergic drugs, that adrenergic drugs raise the blood pressure and they have the harmful effects in the cardiovascular patients. So adrenergic drugs can also be used as bronchodilators, but they should be safely used in hypertensive and ischemic heart disease patients. Now in this class, main example is salbutamol. Salbutamol is a highly selective beta-2 agonist. Its cardiac side effects are less, and inhaled salbutamol produces bronchodilation within 5 minutes and action lasts for 2 to 4 hours. Its side effects are muscle tremors, restlessness, palpitation, nervousness, throat irritation and ankle edema. Salbutamol undergoes pre-systemic metabolism in the intestinal wall. Its oral bioavailability is 50% and beta-2 agonists are used for the patients who cannot correctly use inhalers. Now we will discuss the second class, that is methylxanthines. In this class, the examples are caffeine, theophylline and theobromine. These drugs are mainly used in COPD, although they are also used in bronchial asthma, but their main use in the treatment of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Now we will discuss the mechanism of action of these drugs. These drugs act by different mechanisms. So the first mechanism is by the inhibition of the enzyme phosphodiesterase, which degrades the cyclic nucleotides intracellularly. In this picture you can see cAMP or cGMP are the cyclic nucleotides. And from ATP or GTP, cAMP or cGMP is formed. These are the cyclic nucleotides. These cyclic nucleotides are converted to 5-AMP or 5-GMP in the presence of the enzyme phosphodiesterase. This enzyme is inhibited by methylxanthines. So when this phosphodiesterase is inhibited, the concentration of these cyclic nucleotides is increased. And when the concentration of cyclic nucleotides is increased, it results in bronchodilation, vasodilation and cardiac stimulation. So in this chapter, the important role is bronchodilation. The effect of these is bronchodilation. Then second mechanism is the release of calcium ions from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. These drugs also increase the release of calcium ions from the sarcoplasmic reticulum in skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle. Then third mechanism is the blockage of the adenosine receptors. Now adenosine acts as a local mediator. It is an example of the local mediator. Adenosine contracts bronchial muscles, dilates the cerebral blood vessels, inhibits the gastric secretion. These are the effects of adenosine. So methylxanthines can block the adenosine receptors. It means that methylxanthines can produce the opposite effects to that of adenosine. So you can see that adenosine contracts the bronchial muscle, so methylxanthines will produce bronchodilation by this mechanism also. Now we will discuss the pharmacological actions of this class. So the first effect is on the CNS. These drugs means methylxanthines, they stimulate CNS. They stimulate the various parts of CNS, like they stimulate medullary, vagal, respiratory and vasomotor centers. In high doses, they can cause restlessness, excitement, tremors, delirium, and convulsions. And the high doses, vomiting is also caused, and this is due to gastric irritation and CTs and stimulation. Then second effect is on CVS or the cardiovascular system. These drugs directly stimulate heart and increase the force of myocardial contraction. Theophylline causes tachycardia, but caffeine decreases heart rate. This is the opposite effect which is produced by these two drugs, theophylline and caffeine. Theophylline is causing tachycardia, whereas caffeine causes bradycardia. Increased cardiac output and cardiac work. And then high doses can cause cardiac arrhythmia, and effect on BP is variable. The next is the effect on smooth muscles. Almost all the smooth muscles are relaxed, and especially the bronchial smooth muscles. This effect is important because you know that in asthma there is bronchoconstriction. So these drugs cause the bronchial smooth muscle relaxation. Slow and sustained bronchodilation is produced, and there is negligible effect on intestinal and urinary tract smooth muscles. Then the last effect is on the kidneys. The fourth effect is on kidneys. The drugs are mild. These drugs are mild diuretics. They act by inhibiting the tubular reabsorption of sodium ion and water. As you know, the diuretics, by inhibiting the tubular reabsorption of sodium and water, or we can say they promote the excretion of sodium ion and water, and they may also increase the renal blood flow and glomerular filtration rate. The next is the effect on skeletal muscles. These drugs enhance the contraction power of skeletal muscles. Caffeine facilitates neuromuscular transmission by increasing the acetylcholine release. Acetylcholine release is increased by caffeine, and by this it can facilitate the neuromuscular transmission. The next effect is on stomach. These drugs enhance the secretion of acid and pepsin in stomach. They also cause gastric irritation. Then the effect on metabolism. These drugs increase the basal metabolic rate and increase the plasma free fatty acids. Then last is effect on the mast cells and inflammatory cells. The theophylline decrease the release of histamine and other mediators from the mast cell and the inflammatory cell. So these are the pharmacological actions of methylxanthines. Now we will do the pharmacokinetics of theophylline. Theophylline is well absorbed orally. It is distributed in all tissues. It can cross placenta and it is secreted in milk. 50% drug is plasma protein bound. It is metabolized by demethylation and oxidation. And the half-life in adults is 7 to 12 hours, whereas in children it is 3 to 5 hours. And the half-life of theophylline is prolonged with high doses. If the doses are high, then the half-life can be up to 60 hours. Now in last we will discuss about the adverse effects and interactions. Adverse effects. Theophylline has a narrow margin of safety. When we say any drug has a narrow margin of safety, it means that it has a high toxicity. It has narrow margin of safety and shows the dose dependent toxicity. Dose dependent toxicity means as the dose will be increased, the toxic effects will also be severe. For adverse effects are dyspepsia, headache, nervousness, insomnia. These adverse effects are produced at low dose. As the dose is increased, the other adverse effects are also produced, like restlessness, tremors, vomiting, palpitation, diuresis, agitation, flushing, hypotension. Other adverse effects at much higher doses are delirium, increased muscle tone, extrasystoles, convulsions, shock, arrhythmias, and if the dose exceeds very high, then it may also result in death. Then the interactions. There are 3 or 4 important interactions of these drugs. The first interaction is the agent which induce the theophylline metabolism decrease its plasma level. Any drug which induce the theophylline metabolism or which increases the theophylline metabolism, it will decrease its plasma concentration. And examples like phenytoin, rifampin and phenobarbital. And some drugs inhibit the theophylline metabolism and increase its plasma level. This is the opposite effect. There are many drugs which inhibit the theophylline metabolism and they can increase the plasma levels. Example, erythromycin, ciprofloxacin, cimetidine and allopurinol. Then third interaction is theophylline enhances the effects of furosemide, digitalis, oral anticoagulants and hypoglycemics. And the last interaction is theophylline decreases the effects of phenytoin and lithium. And last uses, you know that these drugs we are discussing about the asthma, therefore these drugs are used in bronchial asthma and COPD, and these are also used for apnea in the premature infants. So we have discussed one class, bronchodilators, in detail.